The rich and famous are incredibly perverse. This is something that we should have all known right now. There are lots of different political formulas that exist in the world. Philosophers for hundreds of years have tried to figure out what is the political formula to explain political action and to make so political action is best suited to the interests of the nation and the people as a whole. I think in the 21st century I have come up with my own political formula, the most accurate political formula, which is the political formula of sexual blackmail.
Yes.
If you are wondering why a political actor has made a stupid decision that seems to go against the interests of nation and people, just assume that there is some kind of sexual deviancy in his cupboard, skeletons in his cupboard, and then that he's blackmailed for it. That, I think, is probably the driving factor in a lot of politics at the moment, and it sadly ties into the P. Diddy situation, which is currently ongoing. I did an update on this a few weeks ago after he was arrested, because he's been arrested as part of a federal investigation into the claims of sex trafficking and human trafficking that were going on. But there have been updates since there, and it keeps getting worse. And then at the end of this segment, I'll also take us through a little bit of a look at how deep this goes, because this really is, the more you look into it, a rabbit hole which has connections to everyone and everything. So I won't go over all of it, but I'll give you a little hint as to how deep you can take it if you want, and you can go further with your own research if you're interested. And if you are interested as well, what you should do is buy a copy of Islander, issue 2, available right now for $14.99.
Cleanse your soul.
Yes, it will cleanse your soul. It will give you inner peace, take you away from this disgusting, filthy, diseased world that we live in currently. $14.99 on the website. And as we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, if you have already ordered your copy, if you're watching this on YouTube, and if you've ordered it before the 18th of September, we've been told that the first shipment of magazines was sent out yesterday. So they should be with you very, very soon. And with that, let's get into an update into what's going on. I will need the mouse.
Yep.
Thank you very much. So, Forbes happily have a quite simple article going through some of the allegations, some of the updates that have been going on. So, first of all, if you go all the way back to September 16th, he was arrested in Manhattan after being indicted by a grand jury. Since then, it turns out he was sharing a unit with Sam Bankman-Fried, of all people, at the Metropolitan Detention Center. So I can only assume what conversations they've been having, sat there. What do those two have in common?
I don't know what to do with that information.
I wonder. There was a documentary released for streaming on a service called Tubi, which featured an interview with Sean Combs, P. Diddy's real name, his lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, I think that's his name is, who addressed the leaked surveillance city of Combs shoving and kicking his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. If you haven't seen that, I did show it on the last segment, so you can look at that. You don't want to, though, because it is pretty brutal. It's this woman, she goes into the hallway of a hotel, there's footage of Diddy following her, and then he pretty viciously and brutally beats her. Jesus. All caught on camera. That was footage released in May by CNN. Right. And Combs' lawyer has called the indictment a shakedown of a successful black man and said he doesn't expect Combs to accept a plea bargain. So, of course, he's already going for the racism angle.
Right, yeah.
As we expected. You know, it was racism that forced Combs on camera to beat a woman brutally for no reason. Yeah. Combs has also been accused of drugging and raping a woman on multiple occasions, with the woman identified as Jane Doe in the lawsuit, further alleging that she became pregnant after one of the encounters. She's seeking undisclosed damages, according to the Associated Press. More lawyers for Combs has filed a notice asking the Second Circuit Court of Appeals in the Southern District of New York to overturn the decision to hold him in prison while he awaits trial. A choice judge, Andrew Carter, made citing concerns that Combs had allegedly tampered with witnesses who had been contacted as part of the investigation against him. So it looks like that is not going to be, or hasn't been, he's not been allowed bail. Still, because of the fact that there is a worry that he is A, a flight risk, and B, might tamper with the people who are going to be acting as witnesses so that he can try and get them to maybe not be witnesses anymore or withhold information. And also, a Houston-based lawyer, Tony Busby, said that he is representing 120 accusers who plan to file civil lawsuits across multiple states alleging crimes like sexual assault, rape, and sexual abuse of minors. 25 minors are implicated in this, in claims that will include many powerful people and many dirty secrets. And he is saying that he's promising that he's going to expose these famous accomplices, in fact. So
he's going to Epstein himself.
He might get Epsteined at some point, depending on how high profile these people are. And supposedly, some of them are very high profile. We're talking like A-listers in Hollywood, those types of people. I have heard rumors off the back of this that apparently there are some discussions going on over there where people are having a few sleepless nights.
I bet.
Because they do not want their names to be included in these lists because it could ruin their reputation, ruin their career, or potentially they go down and go to prison as well. So the lawyer has said that the names will shock you. The day will come when we name other names other than Sean Combs, and there's a lot of names. It's a long list already, but because of the nature of the case, we are going to make damn sure that we're right before we do that. So the victims he's representing, these 120, 60 males, 60 females, 25 were minors at the time of the alleged misconduct. They go all the way back to 1991. So P. Diddy, his career started in 1990 as an intern or a talent agent, I think it was, for Uptown Records. So this is going back all the way to the beginning of his career, a multi-decade criminal career in the music industry, if these allegations all turn out to be true. The alleged abuse took place mostly at parties held in New York, California, and Florida, where individuals were given drinks that were laced with drugs, according to Mr. Busby, the lawyer. Other incidents took place at auditions where many times, especially young people wanting to break into the industry, were coerced into this type of conduct in the promise of being made a star. He carried on with the allegations. So this is, sadly, unsurprising behavior at this point. For what we've come to expect from Hollywood. It is an open secret. It has been an open secret for a long time. This is all stuff that came out during the Harvey Weinstein allegations and the trial there as well.
You've also got loads of other people accusing, haven't you? Like, what was that? Corey Feldman?
Yeah.
Corey Feldman's been saying this for a long time.
Elijah Wood said something similar as well.
Yeah. Well, yes. it goes back years. I mean, the casting couch
exactly
is a now term in a dictionary because of it. So
it's not only Hollywood, it's the music industry as well. What a surprise.
It's all of Hollywood, all of the music industry, and we know for a fact that Hollywood and the music industry have very close ties to Washington because of all of the celebrity endorsements and appearances that go on at political campaigns. A lot of money gets raised for political campaigns by celebrities, and we also know that Jeffrey Epstein was a man who operated purely by himself alongside Ghislaine Maxwell to traffic and supply small young girls to nobody.
To nobody.
Yeah, nobody in particular.
Yeah.
We do have other people coming out as well and providing photographs and discussion of what went on at the parties that a lot of these incidents supposedly happened at, where a lot of the lawsuits that were filed at the end of last year were alleging were freak-offs happened. That's what they're calling them, freak-offs, where people would arrive who were prostitutes, who would be around, and some of Diddy's associates, people who wanted to break into the industry, would be forced into having sex with these prostitutes on camera, because as well in March there was the federal raid at some of his mansions, which found over 200 bottles of lotion, lots of sex toys, and also that there were hidden cameras in every room of one of his mansions.
So it's very Epstein.
Yes, incredibly Epstein. They're calling him Black Epstein. They're calling him Rap Epstein. So let's see what's said here. So you've got photographs from some of this. So these were apparently called white parties, and I can assume it's because everybody who showed up to them dressed in pure white. Here's pictures from some of the parties that happened. There's Ashton Kutcher at one of these parties. So from the infamous white parties held at his homes in the Hamptons, Los Angeles, and Miami to smaller gatherings on a yacht in Saint-Tropez, the fallen music mogul quickly gained global recognition in the late 90s and early 2000s for his lavish, celebrity-packed get-togethers that often featured an excess of alcohol, drugs, and nudity. In an exclusive interview with Fox News, celebrity photographer Selma Fonseca, who attended 20 to 30 of his parties throughout her career and reportedly broke the news of his romance with Jennifer Lopez, opened up with what she witnessed firsthand. So this woman is an insider photographer for the stars. So she's got giving a little bit of information of some of the stuff that she saw. As people were drinking, it always got a little crazier, she said. Sometimes people took their clothes off and go into the swimming pool. Typical Hollywood music industry degeneracy. That was kind of normal. She recalled Diddy being a very hands-on host, making sure his guests were provided with drinks at any given moment, given the other claims that are going around that allegedly he would spike these drinks with drugs that you wouldn't know about, and then there are a number of stories of women being given a drink by him, going woozy and then waking up with no recollection of what happened. He always had this tray and he offered shots to everyone. Ecstasy was really in fashion at the time, so it's like if you have a drink or take a pill, how's anybody going to know? Most of the time, Diddy's parties would start off innocent, with children of various celebrities often in attendance. But when the parents were told to put their children down, things were going to get crazy, she said. In a video obtained by Fox News, Diddy can be heard advising parents to put the kids away so that everyone can get their groove on. Why would you bring your kids to these in the first place, even if
kids,
even if you know they're going to be told to go away at some point? Also, if you're the parents and you're taking your kids away, are you sticking around? What are you doing at these parties after your kids have gone? The quote says, "We fed y'all, gave y'all some drinks, now it's time to enjoy life. This is a celebration of life. This is the legendary white party." So he was very humble, man. "And to all the kids have an hour left. Get extra comfortable, kids, because after that, y'all got to go. It's a wrap for y'all, because this thing turns into something that when y'all get older, y'all are going to want to come to." So there's Diddy basically saying to these people's parents, well, when they're a bit older, don't worry, I'll drug your kids as well and have my way, allegedly. Let's start to get our groove on, and in an hour we'll put the kids away. Okay. There are also supposedly sex tapes being leaked. I've not been able to find it, not that I've really tried too hard, featuring even bigger celebrities, and we can expect as the trial goes on and more information is unearthed and more of these videos are found that this sort of thing is going to happen more often, more of this stuff's going to come out, because again, he had hidden cameras in all of the rooms in his house. So, who knows what manner of footage is on there. But then, obviously, that's the case as it exists right now. We'll see as it updates. None of that is good. All of it is terrible, and all of it is an enormous indictment of the fact that if this is true, which I personally think it is.
I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I'm not going to give Hollywood and the record music industry the benefit of the doubt. No. It's an indictment of these people, the way that they behave, the kind of criminal behavior that they go in. But then you start to look into how weird P. Diddy's whole career is, how long this has been going on for, given how far the allegations go back, and start to question, is this just how the whole system works? Is this how the political system works as well, given that he has so many connections? So even if you just go on his Wikipedia page and look at...
You can't say no.
Well,
that's the point.
Well, if you want to make it in there, and also you've got to consider that from the perspective of the moguls at the top, if you want to have somebody who's going to consistently make you money, who's not going to cause any fuss, who's never going to cause you trouble, well, you want something on them to know that they're in your pocket forever, as well as the fact that it's also presumably just they get off on this stuff, obviously, because they're disgusting freaks. So interestingly enough, if you go back to his early life, his father, Melvin Earl Combs, was an associate of the convicted New York drug dealer Frank Lucas, who in 2009, I think they made a film out of him called American Gangster.
Okay, yeah.
Starring Denzel Washington. Melvin, at age 33, was shot dead while sitting in his car on Central Park West when Combs was 2 years old. Combs also was a business major at Howard University, but he left after his second year. But he was not of the street, shall we say. Yeah. He was not an OG gangster type, although obviously his father actually was. Yes. Combs became an intern at New York's Uptown Records in 1990 while working as a talent director at Uptown under the guidance of label founder Andre Harrell, who is somebody he had a very, very long career association with. He helped develop Joe Decky and Mary J. Blige. In his college days, Combs had a reputation for throwing parties, some of which attracted up to 1,000 participants. Usher, who lived with Combs for a year in New York City when he was 13 years old, strange. According to P. Diddy, he had legal guardianship of him at the time. I think I saw him say in an interview. He told Howard Stern in 2016 that Combs' lifestyle was pretty wild during that time. In 1991... Oh, that doesn't matter there. So shortly after he was fired from Uptown in 1993, Combs established his own label, Bad Boy Records, which entered a joint venture deal with Arista Records, or Arista. I don't know how some of these words are pronounced, so I apologize. And if you go to look into the man who formed Arista Records, you find that it's Clive Davis, a man who was the head of Columbia Records, part of CBS, and then later formed Arista Records after he got fired from CBS for allegedly embezzling funds to pay for his son's bar mitzvah, so another saint we've got here. As part of these record labels, he signed people like Barry Manilow, Janis Joplin, Aretha Franklin, Santana, Bruce Springsteen, Aerosmith, Pink Floyd. Huge name in the record industry. In fact, he's been name-checked in quite a few songs, where in 1979, Aerosmith had a song, No Surprise, where Steven Tyler says, "Old Clive Davis said he's surely going to make us a star. I'm going to make you a star just the way you are." And starting on December 30th of 1978, Bob Weir of the Grateful Dead occasionally changed the lyrics to one of their songs to say, "We used to play for acid, now we play for Clive." So this is a guy who's very, very deep into the music industry, has been for a long time, and was part of P. Diddy's rise in it. He was part of the reason that P. Diddy was able to get his record label started. He's still alive. He's 92 years old. He's still alive, and he's still standing by P. Diddy, even despite all of the allegations against him. And there are new allegations because the hip-hop and rap side of the music industry in America seems to be its own little ecosystem where everybody knows everything about everybody else. Everybody knows the stories and everybody else knows these allegations that people speak in hushed tones about on these podcasts that nobody listens to. But the diehards. And there's this guy, Suge Knight, who is a criminal who's in prison for 28 years because in 2015 he ran over and murdered a guy. But he was the co-founder and former CEO of Death Row Records. So some more context here. Bad Boy Records, P. Diddy, East Coast, New York. Death Row Records was Tupac Shakur, those types on the West Coast. So rivalries going on there. But they know a lot about each other. They know all of these stories. And he is claiming in an interview that he did with Chris Cuomo on a site on a place called News Nation, he said that his artists used to only smoke weed but were pushed into taking heavier drugs once they were signed to other record labels, including P. Diddy's. He claimed that Sean Combs and other music stars are victims of abuse and name-dropped powerful executives who he says are behind the alleged misconduct. So he says that P. Diddy and others, they introduced cocaine to my artists. Once they got on the cocaine, once they got on drugs, once they got on alcohol, then that's when the weird stuff happened. I think that's what took Puffy down that lane. The convicted felon went on to allege that Clive Davis, Russell Simmons, and Andre Harrell used alcohol and drugs to compromise Combs' manhood. And he says that...
What does that mean?
I think you know what it means. P. Diddy was taught that, he said. He got Usher as a kid. Alcohol, drugs, sex, Justin Bieber, and see, they do these things to take control. You choose to be gay, that's your preference, but they're doing this to people for control, Knight further claimed in the interview. Davis, Simmons, and Harrell have never been charged with the allegations made by Knight, and Page 6, the website here, could not independently confirm whether these claims are true. A spokesman for Davis emphatically denies the claims made about the legendary music producer. In January, though, after Combs was sued by Cassie Cassie Ventura, the woman he was caught beating on camera, and she sued him for rape. Davis stood by the Bad Boy for Life rapper and did not disinvite him from his annual pre-Grammys bash. Puffy is perennially invited to the party. He's always on the list, a source told this website. So that's interesting, and you can take it even deeper, even further. There are these big conspiracy threads. Now, I've not been able to verify everything here, but some of the information does seem to check out, where Aristophanes, is that how you pronounce it? Aristophanes. What a fail.
It's fine, don't worry about it.
Points out that Diddy is seemingly very, very connected to a rich American family called the Bronfmans, who are the wealthy family that own Seagram's, which is a drinks manufacturer, I think. He's very, very close to them. There are photographs of them together. He's a good friend of his. And it shouldn't be surprising that Combs, he says, who was essentially the Jeffrey Epstein of the music world, allegedly, need to make sure that's clear, would be joined at the hip as the made man of the same family as the sisters who ran a sex cult.
Yeah, I was going to say, I recognize the Seagate or whatever it's called.
Yes, these women were apparently, the Bronfman sisters, were involved in the NXIVM sex cult, where they were somewhat sort of spiritual leaders in that cult. So he's got connections to them. He's got connections to all sorts of people across the world. There are photos of him in this thread with basically anyone and everyone in Hollywood that you can think of. Yep, lots of photos of him with Obama over the years. They seem to have kept a friendship, or at least an association with one another. There's also an association with the Pritzker family, who own the Hyatt hotels, a chain in America. He's associated with them. So if you want to take it down that route, you can find connections with just about anybody with Diddy. And of course, if you want to draw your own conclusions from that, you can, but I do think that my theory of sexual blackmail explaining political action is yet to be disproven.
Yeah.
But we'll see how the Diddy case goes, because there's a lot there. It's really dark, and it says nothing good about the sorts of people who control our society, control the information that we receive, control the entertainment we consume, and ultimately govern us.
And it's interesting that The Sound of Silence, the film that should have hit every single box office for months and months and months and been spoke about, died because...
Well, it was a QAnon fever dream, wasn't it?
Oh, yes.
It's just nonsense.
Hope you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, and if you want to see what else we're putting out, you can follow our series Lads Hour, where we have a lot of fun behind the paywall. Here we're playing GeoGuessr, and if you want to follow everything else that we put out, follow us on Twitter. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.